I'm going to start now, so hopefully you can all see the screen perfectly. Just a quick introduction to myself. My name is Gareth Spencer. I'm one of the BIM consultants here at Greytech. I'm going to give you an introduction to BIM using Revit. Just a basic quick overview of Greytech, if any of you don't know Greytech. We are a platinum reseller based out of the UK, but we do have offices around the world, predominantly in the European market and some over in the US. We've got around about 23 offices throughout the world, 5 being based in the UK. We've got plenty of experience within the market, along with CAD and BIM design solutions in the construction industry. Just a quick overview of what I'm going to cover today. So it's basically a quick overview of BIM and how you're going to use it with Revit. So I'm going to go through the Revit tools as we go along. For those of you who don't know, if you don't, then BIM is a tool which was, or not tool, was introduced by the government a few years ago. So obviously we've got a timescale of 2016 to have our level 2 BIM implemented on all government projects. But for those of you who haven't started that yet, you'll see on the screen here we've got a little graph just showing you what BIM is all about and what levels you should be expecting. So, for example, level 0 is predominantly 2D documentation, which you've obviously been producing in CAD. And then moving into the level 1 environment, is starting to produce 3-dimensional models, whether that be using a CAD tool or, for example, Revit or other applications. Level 2 is to move into more collaborative sort of 3-dimensional modeling, which should hopefully be able to show you models with others and actually setting it up to all the documentation that's out there on the web, which is accessible and downloadable. Level 3, in my opinion, at this moment in time, is not possible. We're a little bit away from getting level 3 up to speed, but hopefully in the near future, someone will help fix that issue and be able to coordinate models somewhere. When they say iBIM, I'm assuming in the cloud it's an intelligent model, which we all work from one rather than separate models as we currently do. So just to give you a bit of an overview on Revit, if you don't know much about it already, Autodesk Revit itself, there's 3 applications. So you've got the architectural, the structural, and the MEP. It's to help you coordinate your design between all the applications. So, for example, you can coordinate your architectural model with the MEP, the structures. You can share your model with your contractors, your owners, etc. One key thing that you've highlighted on the screen here, it should hopefully help you minimize your errors when you're working within your project. So it's going to help you design and build before you get on site to cut down on things like RFIs, so you get errors and issues on site. So just to now, we'll go into Revit and we'll actually go through a quick demonstration on how you can create a model very quickly. So just bear with me, I'll just pop into Revit. Okay, so I'll go into Revit itself. Okay, so I've got here a basic Revit model. Okay, I'm going to start from complete scratch and I'm going to build a structure quite quickly in here. So what you'll see, the Revit platform itself, if you're already using AutoCAD and using later versions, you'll see you've got this toolbar here, this ribbon here on the screen, which allows you to select all the individual tools that you're going to choose. So, for example, I'm going to start here on the left-hand side. We've got the architectural tools. You'll notice the grayed out because I'm on this this splash screen here, which I've set up. So if I just switch to a plan view, you'll see all my tools come live. Now, I'm using the Revit out of the Build Design Suite, so I get all 3 disciplines as one. So if you bought them separately, you'll find that, for example, if you buy the architecture, you won't get the systems tools, so you won't be able to do M&E models. So same with the structure. For example, if you bought the structures tools, you wouldn't get the systems tools as part of that, but you will get some of the architectural tools. So if I just go through here, you'll see we've got all the tools. We can draw walls, we can place in windows, doors, ceilings, floors, etc. And the same if you're a structural engineer, you can go in here and produce structural models. The difference with that is obviously everything you place in has an analytical model line which allows you to take it out into analysis packages such as robot. Then you've got the systems tools for all the M&E engineers, so you can produce ductwork, pipework, and electrical information within inside a model. And the great thing about all that is you can coordinate it between each discipline, so you can all create your own models, share the files, link them in, and then look at how the information is coordinating between itself. We can produce 2D information and 3D information as a model in here. Okay, so using this, we're actually developing a model but producing 2D documentation where required. We can also schedule out all the information that we're producing here. So, for example, we place a wall, a door, a window, a column, a beam, a duct, a pipe. That information can be scheduled out and it's stored here in our project browser on the left-hand side, which you'll see already has some levels already created. So I've got a ground floor, a first floor, a ceiling plan, some elevations, etc. Okay. You'll notice we will be able to produce all the information inside one model. We don't have to go out like you would in AutoCAD and produce just 2D information in a 2D drawing. This is all produced inside one model. Okay. You can split the model down into separate parts if you want to, but for example, I'm going to build one structure in here, and it's all going to be one environment. I'll then be able to produce all my information into sheets. So basically take the views that I've created out of here and populate them into drawing sheets in the same environment as well. Okay, so if I get started, I'm just going to start off with a simple model. Okay, what you'll see in here, I've got some levels already produced, but I'm going to quickly create some more. So for example, if I come up here on the ribbon here, I've got the grid tool. Okay, it's going to allow me to draw a grid, so I can come in. What you'll see is my line here is actually snapped to the other one below. And draw it up, again it's snapped for me, it's put the next number. Okay. If I wanted to move that, I can simply select that. You'll see here what it's got is a temporary dimension. I can type in a figure and it's going to move it away. I can then even copy this, so I can select and go, I want to copy this. I can do it multiple times and I can constrain it. So it allows me to select. I can move, as I want to, set a dimension. I could type in millimeters and it'll move millimeters. I can even type in feet and move feet, or actually display in millimeters in here. So what you'll see if I do, for example, 16 feet 2 inches, which is around 5 meters, I can then select that, and you can see here it's given me the dimension where it's moved to. So if I type in a figure here, I can move it away, and it's actually drawn the grid line in for me. Now, my horizontal don't reach or go past the grid line 6, so I'm just dragging that out there, and I'm actually placing another one in. Now I can actually carry on doing this. I can just simply copy here and do another one. So for example, 10 meters. What you'll notice is it's put it in the next numerical order. So I just need to quickly change that to, for example, C. And then when I do the next one, you'll see again, so if I do another distance here and then another distance, it's actually putting them in for me. So again, I'm just going to drag out the grid lines because it doesn't know the extent of where I want the grid line showing. Well, that's not a problem. So I've produced some grids here. I can go into an elevation view, so I can click on the screen and go into my elevation view, and you'll see here's my grid lines actually shown in the view. So I can drag those out. Now currently, my grids here, my grid line 1's a bit higher, so I can just drag that down and lock it, so these now move together. So it's intelligently moving the information all as one. But we can unlock it, and for example here, if I unlock, click on the padlock and I help, I can drag that on its own and move it as a single entity if required. Now, we can go and populate some more levels if we want to. So again, we can come in here, I can click on level, and what it'll do is allow me to place and draw level lines across the screen. So for example, I'm going to start on the right-hand side here. I'm going to click and place, and I can draw left. Okay. You notice the tag hasn't displayed on that side, but it has displayed on that side, but not on this side, because my settings have got it set. So when I click first and click to the second point, it will not display. But if I, for example, just undo what I did, I can come back to the other side, click on here, and draw to the side. We can change the way that works if we want to. And what you'll notice is now it's populated that view. It's also populated the plan for me over here for those two types. I've actually created a structural plan at the same time here. But what I can do, I can go back in, and rather than do that, I can change it so it doesn't do that. So I can go into properties here. I can turn off my structural plan, which I have done there. So I'm going to go in again. I'm drawing my level line. Now, what you'll notice is I'm drawing that. I'm not taking any consideration into the levels. You'll also notice that one here I've drawn earlier doesn't actually have a colour blue to it. It's not actually listed in the properties here in my project browser. So what I'm going to do is simply go in and I'm going to duplicate into the project browser now and create a view. So you'll see here it's listed And now it's actually created the view, it's actually gone to the plan. If I switch back to the elevation, you'll see here, it's actually now highlighted in blue to say that. You can customize this to suit your requirements. If you're not happy with how it's shown, you can set it however you want. I can also go into here and select the level. So for example, if I wanted that at 9,000, I can get the dimension to be whatever I want, or the level should say, and we can move it up and down. We can even change the name in here, so I can say this is 3rd floor, for example, and it's going to rename the name. It's going to update the corresponding view if I select yes, and you'll see over here now it's updated the view. I don't need the structural plan, so I'm going to select that. I'm just going to remove that from the list. Same again, we can go in here. We can say this is going to be level 4. So 4th floor. Okay. We can call them whatever levels we want. If you're going to call it 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or level 1, 2, 3, 4. It's entirely up to you how you do that. So again, I'm just editing the views. So you notice it's very quick and easy to create these levels. So I've just copied one up. Again, very simple, very quick. I'm just populating this level on here. So I've just given it an offset. Again, because I've copied it, it's not actually created a view, but I can simply go in here, do a floor plan. It's there for me. I can select, and now have my roof over here. It's gone to the plan, but you can't actually see the grid lines. The reason why we can't see the grid lines is at this moment in time, if I just switch back to the elevation, my grid lines don't actually show any higher than just underneath level 4. But if I drag them up, like so, I can go back to my roof plan. You'll notice my grid lines have come in my north and south elevation. Okay. If I go to the west, just have to do the same again, because Revit doesn't know how I want these to show, so I'm just going to drag these up, just like so, and then drag my level lines across. So what I've actually done, I've created a ground floor, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floor, and a roof plan, which now makes it easy for me to start populating the views. Okay, so I'm going to go to a ground floor plan. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to consider I want to place some columns. So I can go to the Architecture tab here, and I can click on column. What this allows me to do is select from a library which I've already got in here, or I can go to the library and load some in. So what these are is a 3-dimensional component which we can actually place in here. Okay, it's not just a 2D block which you'll see in the view. We can load information. So I can go in here, click on load. I can come down and actually select from my extensive library which is installed with the platform when you install it. So you can go in here. I've got some concrete shapes, so rectangular, round, square. We can go to steel. There's a huge list here which you can choose from, UBs, UCs. You've got plates, you've got RSAs, etc., etc. Okay, but I'm just going to use the concrete one in here. Now I can simply go in and actually place it wherever I want. Can you see it's given me temporary dimensions, so I can click and place this column in any location wherever I want. I can also define the height or depth. So if I want to go down, for example, say I was on the roof level, I could do it at a column going down to the next level or level before. I can also specify the level it's going to. So if I specify, for example, 1st floor, it will draw a column from ground to 1st. So if I go in here and click on there, that's now gone from ground to 1st floor. I don't have to actually place it anywhere specific. You can see here I can click and place it. It's going to be temporary dimensions to tell me roughly where it is. I can also use the grid lines to my advantage. So on the ribbon here, you can go in and I can go, actually, I want to select the grid lines. So I'm going to click on here. What it's going to do, the grid lines that I hover over, you'll see it's highlighted them and placed them now. If I click on here, they'll be placed in that location. So you'll see here there's none been placed. So again, I can select the same again, window over here, I'm just going to select the grid, I'm just going to place them. Okay, simple like that. Now, if I don't want any, I can simply window over and remove them from certain locations. So if I was to, for example, just delete a few off here, you'll see it removes them for me. Okay, I can move the grid line, and you'll notice that the actual elements which are on the grid will move with it. Okay, so again, if I change the dimension, it's going to move them with it. So if I look in the 3D view, you'll see there's all my columns within the environment now. So what I can do, I can select one or all of them in the view. Okay, and I'm going to do this in the 3D view so you can see this. I'm going to go into my properties window and I'm going to change the level. So if I go up to roof, for example, hit apply, it's extending the columns all the way up. Now, in realistic terms, those columns might not be the same all the way up, so you can actually change them if you wanted to. So, for example, if we said, actually, these columns only went up to, for example, because of the concrete, it might go to 2nd floor, and then we could actually draw some more columns at 2nd floor, which could be a different shape or size. Okay. So, for example, if I go to 2nd, you'll see those columns now appear. We could go, I want to select a column. We haven't got any other types of columns in here, but concrete and steel. but we could go in and load some. So for example, if I go in now, I'm going to simply just select columns, and if we went to say, let's go for round. We select round, it'll choose the round type now. Okay, we've got a 300 type, we've got a few more types in here we could choose from as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these, and these are going to go up to roof level, and again I'm using the grid lines. So if I go in here, I'm going to highlight those grids, okay, click my green tick, and I'm going to go into here in 3D view. So you'll see now it places the round column on the above. We can actually put reinforcement in those if we do the structures model, but obviously this is just the architecture model that we're doing at the moment. So you can see here we've placed some columns in to the environment now. So I'm just going to switch back to my ground floor side. So we may want to start producing walls. Okay, we can simply click on the wall tool, we can go into our library here, and we can choose from our extensive list. Or we can actually create our own. Okay, so we can go in and we can say, actually, I want a generic wall. Okay, I'm going to start on this location here. So we have the draw options. We can draw lines, arcs, and circles. Again, we can specify a height or depth, and we can specify the level we're going to. So, for example, I'm going to go to the second floor. We can also define on the core center line of where the wall is going to be. So it's going to be in central, so it's in the distance between the center and the outside of the walls, or whether it's face into our exterior of the wall face or the core face, which is the actual main structure of the wall. So if I just quickly draw a wall, you'll see how quickly I can draw one. So you can see here, I'm just simply drawing lines, and it's actually producing them for me. So you can see here, matching up the line above, and we can snap to it. So I've just drawn a simple wall in a matter of seconds inside Revit. So you can see there's my wall profile. Okay. So if I wanted to select a wall, I can pick it in here. We have little grips which allow us to extend the wall on its own. Okay. Or we can go into the properties and change the offsets in here. Or we can actually select all the walls, and again, we can change all the offsets by changing the level automatically inside Revit. Okay. We can go to the properties here, and we can do one step further. We can go in and say, actually, let's turn this into curtain walling. Okay. Let's put a storefront style curtain walling for me. Okay, and I'll come back to that in a little minute, and we'll put some mullions in there and make it into a proper wall. Okay, so I'm going to go to my second floor and put a few more walls in again. I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to click and just draw. Again, I'm not bothered what type of wall it is, and go into my 3D view, and again, you'll see there's my wall type as it is going in inside Revit. Okay, so I can simply, again, select all the walls, take them up to whatever level I want, which could be roof level, for example, and there we have a wall. Okay, I'm going to quickly again switch back to the plan, and you'll see how quickly what I'm doing here. I'm just going to change this wall type to a curtain wall, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to select this wall, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it at points. So, for example, if I just click it here, we now have two types of wall here. So if I go into the 3D view, just to highlight this for you. So you'll see here, this is the wall I've just selected, which I've just split. Again, I'm going to create this as a curtain wall again. So if I simply select it, okay. What I could do is put it as a continuous curtain wall. Oops, sorry, just going to do that quickly just to show you. I can select that rather than do it as a storefront, which I wanted to do separate. Okay, you see it's complete blank. So we can go in there and specify whatever we want regarding spacing for the mullions if you wanted to. Okay, it's a very, very simple model so far. I'm just going to switch back to the ground floor, and we may want to put a slab in. Okay, so I'm going to look at the architecture tab again. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click 4. What you'll notice, the ribbon has changed slightly. Again, we get these tools, but what I've got is the option to put a boundary. I can even slope the slab, and I can even put a span direction, and if I was using it as a reinforced slab, for example. I can define my slab types, so I can go in here and just define the types. So we can make a build of the floor type. So, for example, it could be a beam and block flooring, it could be ground bearing slab with screed on top, and then on top of that you could have any type of floor finish you required. So I'm just going to use the ground suspended slab here. And what I can do is I can utilize the wall. So I'm just going to use the curtain wall, and I've selected the entire chain. So what it's done is using that as a slab for me. Okay, so I'm going to click on here, and what you'll see again, I'll just switch to the 3D view. I've now populated a floor slab very, very quickly. I'm going to select that slab, and I'm going to quickly copy that. So what I've done is I've copied it into the clipboard, and I'm going to paste it up to the next two levels here. So you'll see instantly we now have two more floor slabs. Now this slab here, we may not want it as a ground floor bearing slab. So I'm going to simply select it, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to simply just quickly change the floor slab, and you'll see here it's actually changed the style. So I'm going to click on the first floor. If we want to edit the floor, okay, we can come into here. Now, if you can't see the floor or select it, we can simply tab through and select the floor. We can window over, highlighting elements. We picked that, the grid lines, the curtain walls. So I'm going to simply select and deselect everything but the floor here. So now I've got the floor. I'm just going to edit the boundary. So, for example, we could have this floor and we could move it. So you can see in here, I'm actually moving the edge of the slab, just like so here. Okay, so I'm going to move that back. So now we have a floor which has been adjusted. I'm going to 3D view again just to highlight this. You'll see the floor at the moment now. Okay, it's not spanning particularly great. We're going to have to put some cantilever beams in there to support it. But again, I can do the same sort of principle at the next level here a second. So for the second floor, again, I'm going to select the slab. I'm going to edit it. But this time, I can drag the edge of the slab to wherever I want. Okay, I can go all the way to the curtain wall in, or I can move it back, for example, a little distance in, and it's not going to attach the curtain wall. Okay, I'm going to accept that. Now, what it's going to do, it's going to ask me, do I want to adjust the walls to attach the bottom? Now, I don't. But what I want to do, again, is copy this up. So I'm going to copy to my next level, third and fourth. So I now have, again, in my model, some floors. So I'm starting to create my Revit model. Okay. So I'm going to go to the roof now and quickly put a roof on. So what you'll see if I go to the roof, now we've got different styles of roof. I'm just going to put a simple flat roof on here, and I'm going to utilize the walls again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the walls and let this populate my roof for me. Okay. It's automatically put on a slope for me. So if I come out here, you'll see in a moment I now have a pitched roof. Okay. But what I want to do, I'm just going to go in and edit this. So I'm going to get rid of the pitch. So what you'll see here, you've got a slope angle, and you see it's specified at 30 degrees. If I untick that, okay, what you'll see is these elements now will not have a slope to them when I finish. You'll see here we'll have a flat roof. Okay. Now the roof has got a green colour to that at the moment. That's just the material that's applied to that. We can change the material type, whichever we need to do. So we've simply placed in a couple of walls, some floors, some columns. Excuse me. Let's go inside now and let's put a few rooms in there. So for example, I can come into here and I can start specifying rooms internally. So I go in, I can choose wall again. I can select the wall types I want. Okay. I have an extensive library in here, and again, I can set up my wall type. So I can go in and choose the type of wall I want. So I can go in. Again, I can specify the level. I can go in here, and I can start producing rooms. So I'm just going to simply draw a couple of shapes in here. So you'll see here I'm drawing rooms in. Okay. Now I'm just drawing randomly here, but you can go in and populate the room types and styles however you want them to be. So I've placed a couple of rooms in there. So going to my model, you'll see it's now populated them for me. Okay. Now at the moment, hopefully you can see that walls have gone through the slabs. So I'm just going to simply select those types in here, and I'm going to attach them to the bottom of the slab. So what it's going to do is going to cut them down, so now they're attached to the underside of the slab. Okay, there's no doors in there just yet, so we'll put some of them in a moment. But what we can do, again, we can copy those to selected levels and paste them at the next level, and you'll see it's populated them at the next level here. I'm going to go to my second floor and do something similar. You'll notice the view is actually showing below. We can turn that off because it's got an underlay on here. And switch that off. Okay, so you'll just see the floor. So we can go in. Again, we can do the same thing in here. So we can go in. We can put our rooms across here. Okay, so again, I'm just going to simply populate that there. Okay, and I'm going to copy my wall across. Now, at the moment, those walls aren't equally spaced out. But what I can do, using dimensions, which Revit is good for, I can go in here and place in dimensions. Now, what I'm going to do, things like this you can't do with CAD. I'm going to select my dimensions, but I'm going to make these room spaces equally, okay, with the walls now. By just pressing this button here, it's now spaced out each of those walls inside the environment. So if I just change it to a value, you'll see now they're all equally spaced out with the dimensions. So there's no, oh, we've got to work out and then actually space them ourselves. It's actually done that for me without any hassle. So again, I can go in, I can draw a few more rooms in here if I need to, like so. and then split them down again like in here. So we can adjust how it's going to work. So we've drawn the walls a bit too long. We have a trim and extend tool, so I can say I want to trim these walls back. Okay, I want these walls to trim to that one, so we just a trim. Okay, so it's dead easy to do that. Again, if we'd have drawn, for example, the wall too long, we can use the trim and extend tool to trim it back here. We can also, I'll come back in, I'm going to draw another little room here. Now, you may want some curved walls, so we can go in and put some arcs into the walls. So I'm just going to draw them in for now, like so. But then I can select the wall and say, actually, I wanted that at 2 meters. Okay, and again, I want the same at 2 meters. So we're simply just drawing them in very, very quickly. We can actually, if we want to, if we need to, split the wall. So I can go in here, I can split the wall again. But what I can do is I can go, I want to split this and put a gap in the wall like so. Okay, so it's put a wall spacer in for me. Well, you'll notice if I switch back to the 3D view, we've now populated some more walls at that floor level. Okay, so as simple as that. Now, what you may notice in the 3D view, we can see an entire building. What we can do, I'm just going to take a copy of this view, so I'm allowing myself to be able to duplicate the view like so. So I created a view. I'm going to create a quick section box around this, which allows me to, if you look here, I'm just going to go to the side. I've got some little grips here, which I can move this, for example, up and down, so I can cut it back, so I can show the level that I want to. Okay, I can go in here and adjust it however I want to, so I can come up, for example, I can bring it slightly back, and you'll see it's cutting through the project. So again, I've got the walls that are going up to the next level. I'm simply just going to select those walls in here, and I'm going to attach them to the floor above. Okay, so they're not actually going that far. I can take it one step further. I can actually make this view look at what the floor is looking at, say, third floor. Just quickly, I just simply change the box, and it's now looking at third floor or what's there. Okay, if I turn it off, you'll see it'll go back to the original settings as it's shown. So if I go back into the second floor here, I want to now start putting in things like doors and possibly windows inside the project. So I'm going to go in. First of all, I'm going to place a window. So I'm going to click on place the window here. I'm going to go to my wall, and I'm going to click and place my window into the wall here. Okay, so I'm going to click and place. I've placed it into the wall. Okay, so now I've got it in the wall. You'll see here that I can see the window into the wall. I'm just going to go to my 3D view. Okay, you can see the window. Now, I've got a window which I can simply select in here. I can copy it around if it needs be. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to a plan view and look at this in elevation. So you'll see here in elevation, I can select my window. Now, this is a window that's been edited, so I can literally just drag it, make it bigger and smaller. Okay, so I made the window bigger. So what you'll see if I go into the 3D view again, I've got my window and it's extended up all the way up through the building. Okay, I can then take that window, if I wanted to, I can mirror it across to the other side. Okay, so it's put it on the other side of the wall. I can simply select this window, and then I can copy, so I can select copy here, just like you can do with the card, and I can copy it and paste that. Okay, but that actually hasn't pasted in any location. They're all now just set in any location. But what I'll do, for example, on this other side, I'm going to select this window. I'm going to use the array tool. And what we can do is we can group elements. So, for example, if I said I want 10 windows, I can start at this point. I can go to another point on the right-hand side. And what it's going to do is actually populate 10 windows for me. Hopefully you'll see, if I zoom in here, you'll see there's different windows as we're going along. If I was to change that, for example, 5, it's now going to change them to just 5 in there. So if I go back to the 3D view so you can see this, I'm just going to orientate around the building. You'll see here we've now got 5. Again, I'm going to select in here. If we said 6, it's going to adjust them for me and set them out equally spaced inside there. Okay, so I've got them as a group inside there. So I can go back inside the view, and you'll see there's the windows. Now at the moment, we don't have any doors, so if I can place a door, so for example I can select door in here. Okay, we can choose for the ones in our list here, or again we can load them in. So for example, I'm going to select and click and place. Okay, just randomly placing them in here, just like so. I mean, I can go in and place them in correctly, okay, but I'm just going to randomly place them. So for example, if the door is in the wrong location, okay, I can simply select it and drag and move.
Okay, I can flip it over. I can even change the orientation of the swing, so it goes the opposite direction. Again, the same with these doors, so obviously I can go in and place them in the right place. You may notice that I've put my door and my column in the wrong place. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to quickly go up to here, and I'm going to quickly run an interference check inside here. So what it allows me to do, now I'm just going to make sure that I'm nothing selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I'm going to flash check my doors against my columns. So in here, click on columns, and what it's going to do is highlight to me, hopefully, actually no, it's not doing the door because actually it's just a swing. If that column was inside the door, it would actually highlight it. But that's probably a good example actually, because the door actually itself is not clashing, it's only the swing, it's not highlighted it. But if I come back in, and this time I'm going to drag my wall and place it onto here, and do the same again. This time it should, hopefully, he says, highlight, there is a potential clash. There we go. Now it's telling me that my door and my column are clashing, so I can go in and actually edit them. If you're not in the current view, what it allows you to do is select a view, so it'll go show, and it'll take you to relevant views where the elements are clashing. Okay, so you'll be able to see them inside your environment. Okay, now it's not taken to a suitable view there, but allow you to see the information where it's clashing. So I can go in and I can fix that problem straight away by selecting the door and moving the door or the column or so forth. Again, I can adjust the swing so it goes inwards or outwards on those. So it's now placed the information in. So now we've done that, we can go in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the internal walls, doors inside here. But I've highlighted my grids, so again I'm just going to go and filter out the grids and the columns, and I'm just going to paste these up to the next level. So I'm just using the tools here to just simply select and place them at the levels appropriately in the project. So now I've copied them up. You'll see again, if I go to 3D view, we now have in my project the information duplicated above. Okay. We may need to obviously access all the floors, so I'm just going to simply go in and draw some stairs now. So what we do have in here, we can draw stairs. We can actually draw ramps as well. So in here, I'm going to draw a stair by sketch. So what it's going to do is we've got a few rules set up inside here so it complies with building regs. So you can go in and actually it'll do all the settings for you. So you're not actually going in, setting the rise and going yourself. It's automatically doing that for you. So if I went in, for example, I'm going to draw a stair here. As you'll hopefully see on your screen, it allows me to draw as many rises as I want within conjunction with the amount of rises that I'm allowed. So I'm actually allowed 18 in total. So I can go up to here and say, actually I want a flight that's going to be 9 rises here. I'm going to come across to this side, draw again, I'm going to draw another 9 rises. It's put the half landing in for me. Okay, it's now going through from ground to first. Okay, I'm going to simply just quickly show you how quick we can draw section view. So I'm going to draw section view through here. This is our view range. Okay, so it allows how much we see. So I'm going to drag that back, and I'm going to go into the section view. Okay, so that's how quick we've populated a section. I'm just going to change the level of detail so you can see some parts of it. So you'll see my view there, how it's drawn. Okay, I'm going to go back into my 3D view, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that section, I'm going to create it into a 3D view instantly. So here you'll see I've now populated a 3D view here. So what we could do is say, actually I want to drag this down so I don't see everything. I'm going to pull it back. So I'm going to adjust my 3D view in here like so, so I see that all the elements. Now you may notice that the stair doesn't actually cut the floor, but I'm going to alter that quite quickly by going back into my plan. I'm going to put a shaft in here which allow me to put an opening. So I'm going to start down here, okay, and put an opening to my stair. Okay, now I didn't actually select the outside, so what I can do is align the elements together so I don't have a gap between my stair and this one has to jump over. So what I'm going to do, we have an offset which allows this to go up through the building and set it to the levels that we want. So I'm going to start it just above ground floor, and what this is going to actually do, if I go back to my 3D view, is put a cut all the way through the building. So now when I draw my stair up to the rest of the building, it will cut a hole for me automatically. I can actually take my stair, which I'm going to go back to a plan view again. I'm going to highlight my stair. I'll just do the same as before. I'm going to copy it up. Okay, so I'm going to literally copy it to the different levels, like so. And now we'll see, once it's done that, if I go back to my 3D view, you'll see it's drawn the stairs up there. You'll notice it's actually put the railings in. Now it's cut the railings off here, but I can select my railings. I can change the type. In the properties here, I can change them to other styles which I've already got loaded in. Okay, so you'll see there it's put a glass railing in. Okay, so again I can change the other type. You'll see here I've changed the other type here. So if I just change my section view, drag that up a little bit, you'll see we can have different styles, and we can customize those to suit our requirements however we need them. Okay, so we've placed the stair in very quickly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go back to my 3D view, and I'm going to look at my curtain walling. So on the front of the building here, I'm just going to select that. And what we can do, we can isolate elements just like you can in Revit, as you can in CAD. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to isolate this element. So just see this one element in the view. Okay, I'm going to look at it in frontal view. Okay, so I'll just switch back to the view I was on. Like so. So you can see here I'm using the view cube to do that. Now at the moment we've just got the grid. So what we can do, we can utilize Revit and just place mullions in by automatic selection. So if I click on mullions here, what you'll see, I can go in, I can actually hover over and actually just place them on each individual line. I can do them by segment, okay, or I can be a bit lazy here and select all grid lines and do it all at once. But that's going to put in the same size and type all the way around. So you'll see here we've got all the types all the way through. Okay, so it's a simple exercise how we can do that. Now I'm just going to reset that, so you'll see in here we now have, I'm just going to spin round, you'll see we've got our curtain wall in there, and again we can do the same all around the project. So I'm just going to go in here and click on this curtain wall and do the same in here, and you'll see if I did the same around here as well, we can literally do the same. Okay, now one thing that you may have not noticed is that obviously it's placed the curtain wall in, but it's not put a door in. So what I can do, I'm just going to go and put an elevation view on here. Now what Revit does allow us to do is when you pick a wall, you'll see here it's actually putting the elevation towards that wall. So I'm going to select this wall here. Okay, so it's just putting a little elevation view onto the wall. So what you'll see, I go to the elevation view, and it's here in my project browser. You'll see there's the curtain wall. So what we can do, I can come in here and say I want to get rid of that mullion. So I'm just hovering over and selecting and deleting those. I can actually select the segment where the mullion line is going to be for the grid, and actually I can get rid of those lines as well. So what I can do is delete and remove those if I need to. Okay. So you'll also see that it's gone now. I can see there's the mullion removed now and the grid. Now what I'm going to quickly do is I'm just going to create another 3D view. Okay, just show you this in 3D and how I can do this. And I'm just going to populate that elevation view I just created as a 3D view like so. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize it down. So, I mean, these are quick ways how you can see things inside here. I like to use 3D views quite a lot. Now, if I move in a bit closer, okay, I've gone a bit too close with the view. You'll see here there's a space. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select the pane. So I've picked the plane here. We can actually select that, go into our properties. Now, you'll be able to see we can actually go to a solid panel, for example. Or we could actually go and look at placing in doors. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and insert a door for the curtain walling. So in my properties, I'm going to go and load a new type in. So I'm going to go into here. And what you'll see, there's curtain wall panels, and we can start looking through the list of elements that we've got in here. So I can choose a door style. So I've picked a door style here. I'm going to load it in. I can then come back into here. I'm going to select the panel, and I'm going to go to my properties. I'm going to change that to the door. And all of a sudden, you'll see the door will fit in accordingly to type. And you can obviously change those types wherever required inside the Revit model. Okay, so I've now started to build a model, and as you can see, there's a lot of information being placed into it's producing the model as I would. Now, I didn't actually put a curtain wall panels into this one, so I can actually create whatever I want. So again, I'm just going to go back into a plan view, and I already have an elevation looking at this plan, so I'm going to go into here, and you'll see there we are. So there's my curtain walling. Now what I can do is I can start placing in grids. Now what I could use is I can just simply just go in and place. So I can place wherever I want. You see here when I place it in, I can go in here and just click and place and define wherever I want them to be, however I want them to be. So it's just literally drawing the lines in. Okay. So again, I can go in horizontal as well, however I want them to be. Now at the moment they're not spaced out equally, so you'll see here if I select that one, it's 1800. Okay, I can go in and actually change that to say 1500 if I wanted to, and it's going to move it around. So if I go into the 3D view, you'll see there's the curtain walling. Now we can obviously put things in the curtain walling like louvers if we need to. Again, I'm just going to go in and quickly put all the mullions in there so you can see we've got the curtain walling placed in. Okay, so you'll see there's the information now directly into the wall. Okay, I'm going to go in and you can start placing things like furniture. So what you'll see in here, I can go in and I can go in and place a table. So for example, I can go and place a table within inside the project. So you'll see I'm going to click and place a table. I'm going to do the same again. I'm placing some chairs. So around that, I'm going to now place in a chair onto the table. Okay, I'm going to place another one here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two chairs here, and I'm just going to mirror them onto the other side. Okay, so I'm going to mirror them onto one side. Oops, I mustn't select the other one. Let's just mirror that one as well. So I've got the two types. Okay, now if I was to select those and copy them around, I can do, but what I'm going to do is just group them. So what I'm allowing to do is I can say table and chair, call it a good name. So I've got two types now, and I'm going to copy that around. Okay, so what you'll see, if I copy that around, I'm just simply placing that. Now I can copy that as many times as I want, so I can go and select that and copy just anywhere that I want all around my project very easily inside here, and you'll see it's just populating. But what happens if I wanted to change something in there? I wanted to add another chair. I can edit the group and I can place another chair in. So for example, I can go in here, place component, and I can go, I want a chair, and I want a chair at this end, and I want one at the other end as well. So I'm simply just going to place one in. Okay, so what will happen now is now, actually, I didn't edit my group. Sorry, I've done that wrong. Let me just quickly undo what I did, because I actually ungrouped them rather than editing. So I'm editing the group. Sorry, it's my fault. So go quickly in, and I'm going to place in my chair. Okay, so I've literally updated that, and now you'll see it's updated all the other groups. Okay, if I don't want that as part of a group, I can click on ungroup, what I did there, and we can be separate, and I could take out those chairs, and we could create another group, and we could copy that around, so we can place as many times as we want. Again, I can select all the instances in here, and if we wanted them at another level, we can simply copy them up and select the levels that we wanted them to be placed at, and now they'll be positioned there. All the information that we've been placing in is actually inside Revit, and we can schedule the data out. So what you'll be able to see in a moment, I'll show you how we can schedule this data out inside the Revit environment. So what you'll see, if I go into here, we've got our nice 3D view here with all of the elements in there. We can schedule that information. So what you'll see under here, I've got a few already pre-selected, so what you'll see, I've got a few things set up, but if I was to go in, we can simply create a schedule. So I can go in here and we can create a schedule for all the information inside Revit. So for example, if I come down here and we say, actually I want to schedule doors, we can click on here, and all the properties that are associated with a door will list. So for example, I can go on, oh, I want to know how many there are. I want to know the family, okay. I want to know, for example, the level. We can go in here, select the level. Maybe what number they are, we could select what number if we need to. We could go in here and say we want the width. So obviously you can select width. We want the height. Again, we can simply select the elements. So on the right-hand side, what it's doing is listing them. So they'll order from left, starting at the top, to right at the bottom. So if you weren't in the right place, you can simply select them and move them around, again, however we wanted to. So as soon as you've done that, it simply populates a schedule very, very quickly inside the Revit environment. So currently you'll see there's a schedule for all the floors. We can actually filter this, so we can go in here and say, actually, what I want to do, I want to filter by level, and it must equal ground floor. And all of a sudden, all the other information will disappear. Now, at this time, it's obviously just deleted out because there's only one door at that level. But if we say, let's go and do a filter by first floor, sorry, let's do second floor, you'll see in here, it's picked them all up. Okay, it's listed all the types. Now what we can do, we can actually go into here and we can actually change the type of the door. Okay. In some instances you can't do this, but in this instance we can. And what that's done is updated the door on the project inside Revit. So, for example, if I go back to the plan, okay, I'm just going to move this box out of the way for a second. Okay, I'm just going to place that there, and I'm going to tile the windows. So what you'll see in here, that is actually selected information inside here. So as soon as I go in, if I change that, okay, it's going to update the information within here. If I select in here, I change, it's going to update inside the Revit environment for me automatically. So they're all working in tangent together. So all the scheduled information that you've got here, we can play around with that, make that however we want them to look. So, for example, I'm just going to remove the filter from here, but I'm actually going to sort by level. I'm going to put a header on. I'm going to remove itemize every instance, so it actually tells me the total number of each. Okay, I'm going to put grand totals on, and then I'm going to start looking at the formatting. So what I can do is I can justify the location. I can change the name of these on here. So you'll see here I'm changing count to say total number. We can look at the appearance, so how it goes when you put it onto a drawing sheet. Okay. Well, you'll notice once I do this, some of the columns are now blank. So what I'm actually going to have to do is either remove them. So, for example, I don't want marks, so I'm going to take this out. Okay. Where we've got, for example, the family, I may want to add another sort in there. So I'm going to say, actually, I want to sort by family, so it introduces more. So I'm going to go sort by every family. You'll see it's changed again. But look at that. We've got a width. So again, I can go in. We can say, let's actually sort by width now. And what it'll do is it'll put the extras in there. It's giving the total number. So you can see there it's giving us that information. And we can populate as much data as we want to inside those as we're going through. So inside the Revit environment, you can see in here. Now, yes, I placed some dimensions before, and I can edit those and move them around. But what I would like to do is quickly, excuse me, add some more annotation. So I can go in just like you can do in CAD. I can use it to align the dimensions and simply just start placing dimensions. Now you can see I'm clicking and placing the dimensions like so. Okay. What I could actually do is utilize the walls. So I can either say, let's use the walls grid. And what it's going to do is put a dimension on for me like I've just done. Okay, so that's quicker. Or we can say, let's actually use the intersection points of the walls. Okay, so what it's doing is intersection points between each walls are here. Okay, or we could take it one step further and again go in and use things like center widths or window width. So again, if we go in here, you'll see it's placed on a dimension associated to the window openings. Okay, so simply place them in. And it's simple to go around and actually do that all the way around. Now, what you may notice is I've not tagged any information up. At the moment, the doors don't tell me the door number, but what we can do is use the tag tool. So I can either tag it by itself, so I can go over here and say, actually, I'm going to hover over that door and tag it. Okay, it's got a little lead line off the tag, so I can actually turn that off. But you'll see here, I'm actually tagging the doors instantly by myself. Okay, in here. And again, if you see, I'm actually hovering over the window and doing the same. Okay, so it's actually picking the elements in here. So you'll see if I hover over the door, sorry, the wall, it's not actually doing that at the moment because there's no, there is a tag, but there's no information updating the tag. Okay, so what I could do to save time is tag all the instances live on the project. So using the tag all tool here, you'll see I can tag all the door. I can look at tagging things like windows as well if I wanted to. Okay, so if I do apply now, what you'll see inside here is put the tag associated to the door here. It's giving me the number. That tag can read any technical information that's associated here in the project browser, sorry, in the project properties. So you'll see here we could read some information associated to it. So for example, if we'd applied the fire rating in here to say 60 minutes, we could get the tag to read that information as well where appropriate. Okay, so that tag at the moment just reads the door number. So all this information that you're placing is obviously going to be live in the project. You'll see here again, we can go in, we can create all different views. So if I just do a quick section view through here, it's a live section. At this moment in time, it's actually looking through here. And if I go to the section view, we can see right through the building and you'll see all that information. Okay. If you've done the section the wrong way, you can go back and you can simply just flip it over. So you can look the opposite direction and even change the actual view range of how far you're seeing. You can even move it around. It's live. What you're doing is updating the project live. You can even split the view, so I can go in here and I can say I want this view to be split so I actually see at this point. So your view line is here, okay, so you actually see more. So in my section view now, I'll actually see part of the stairs inside the view. So you'll see it's going through the building at that point as we go through. Okay. With all these views, everything can be produced onto a sheet. So what you'll see in a second, if I go to this drawing sheet, is a quick drawing sheet in here. This is something we've set up. You can define the sheet to suit your own requirements, however you need it to be. So in here, at the moment we've got a blank sheet. We're simply just going from our project browser here and dragging and dropping. Okay, so I've taken my ground floor, I've clicked and placed. There's my ground floor. That is my view that's on my sheet. Okay, I can do the same again. I can come into here and create more sheets. Okay, so I've got some preset sheets in here, so I can literally create all these sheets automatically. So now it's got all these sheets. It's not populate the information on the view. So for example, I need to select first floor. I can now drag that onto here, and it's literally click and place. If I update that view, it'll automatically update. So it's like an XREF in AutoCAD. I can go in and place any section views that I've created. So drag the section on, click and place. Drag the other section on, click and place. So it's literally placing it on. You'll notice it's got a little tag on here. We can select that tag and move it. That's the scale associated with that view. So if the scale of the view changes, that will change. You can even rename the view name on that tag. So if he said section through stir, for example, oops, it will update the tag on the view here. And you can customize it to suit your own requirements, however you want it to look. Okay. Now, if I go on to another view here, what I'm going to simply do is just grab on an elevation and do the same thing here. You'll see it's populated on the view. But what I can do is I can make my elevations look a bit nicer. So in the view, I can change the level of detail. I can even put a shaded color onto it. Okay, we can even go realistic because these are materials that apply to it. So at this moment in time, that wall there is just a standard wall. Okay, so if I just go back to my 3D view here, I'm just going to quickly spin this around. I'm going to select this wall type here. Okay, I'm going to select the wall and I'm going to choose a different style of wall. Okay, so we can go through the list. We've got a number of wall types in here which we can select and go through. Okay, so for example, if I pick this one and we go in, okay, I'm just going to change this. Okay, you can see that at the moment we've got a brick type. If we're going to realistic, it's put a material type for the brickwork. Okay, so what you'll see, I'm just going to change that back to shaded color. If I go back to my elevation, you'll see, because I've got it on realistic, it shows as a brick material. So we can set all that information in the background. We can even take it one step further. We can start putting things like shadows on in the view. Okay, we can start putting things like backgrounds on. So we can actually apply a background to the image inside there. We can put an image of the site if you've got a site if you need to. Okay, we can even take it one step further and take the information and make it sketchy lines inside here, so it looks like you've hand drawn the information. So going to here, you'll see the lines are a bit sketchy. Okay, so we can take it and to make the views to start looking nice and hand sketch sort of drawn information. So all the views, again, you're populating the information very, very easily inside the environment. Okay, so we've now obviously produced that information. That can go onto your drawing sheet, which I've already done here, and you'll see that sort of detail of view. We'll be able to go and populate it. And you may have noticed our section marker. What it does, it updates automatically when you put the view onto a sheet. So it highlights that that view is on sheet 200. So if I was onto sheet 200 and I, for example, deleted that, went back, you'll see it's now changed back to dash. So what we can do is actually select it so that will not change. Sorry, highlight if you print or export out to CAD, which you can do inside here. So if I go back to the view here, I'm just going to go back in. What we could do is create a nice perspective view. So if I go in here, we can put camera views in. So what it allows me to do is start looking at doing rendered views. So at this moment in time, I've just got two views here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag that back a little bit because it's quite close to the building. Okay, and I'm just going to tile it so you can see in both views. Okay, what you'll see, this is the camera, that's where it's set at the moment. We can justify the height, we can justify how we move it around. For example, I can pan this in and out, I can orbit, okay, so I can actually zoom around the view as well, in and out. Okay, now it's not going to render it completely here, but if I do realistic, you'll see it's starting to put some material to it. I can do a realistic render. But what I could do as well, if required, I can do a render with inside the platform, which will take into consideration the materials that have been applied to that and do a render. So this is doing a very, very quick basic render inside the environment, so you can see what it's going to look like. Okay, or I can spend a moment or two and just quickly do a rendering here, which allows us to do a render inside here. So if we've got lights inside the building, we can actually use a light and actually render with the ambient light inside the building by selecting the lights we want, or we can do outside and just use sun only or inside with sun only coming through the windows, for example. And obviously if we highlight this, it'll go through the quick render process, it'll start doing the rendered image. Now I haven't done a heavily detailed one, but obviously the bigger the settings, so the better the detail, the longer it'll take. And you'll see here it's now cleaning up the image. This won't take too long, a minute or so maximum. It'll start cleaning up the image and you'll start to see the kind of renders you're going to get out of here. Obviously Revit's not the rendering tool. You want to take it to 3D Max to get a proper render out, but it'll give you decent enough renders that you can utilize on your projects if required. Now I know this model's obviously been thrown together quite quickly, but you can see what sort of information you've actually placed in over a few minutes inside here. So as you can see here, that's nearly finished there. It's starting to show the rendered materials, however you want this. Now if you want to leave it a bit of time, you can obviously spend longer and change your settings. You can save this inside your project, so you can save it here, give it a name, or you can simply export it out right now as these different file formats, so JPEG, bitmap, PNG, and TIFF files, and you could use it as marketing material if you've got a decent enough render in there. We can also link information in. So for example, if I just switch to my 3D view here, we could link information in. So for example, I could link in a Revit model, which we could have done from an MEP sort of environment, or a structures model. So for example, I'm just linking in the MEP model, and you'll see now it's populated with some of the information in here. Okay, so you'll see it's got some of the kit on the roof. If I go to a plan view, you'll see in here it's actually highlighting some of the mechanical equipment inside the environment. So I go to a view, you see it's showing that there. So obviously we can link the data between the products. So obviously if you're a mechanical engineer, you can produce your model in a very similar way and link the architecture model in. And the same with the structures. So obviously if we've got a structural model, we can do exactly the same with that inside here. So all the views that you've created, whether it be plan, section, elevation, 3D view, you can export out into AutoCAD. It's very simple to do that. It's just a simple export. So for example, here's my drawing. Okay. One thing I forgot to show you is, for example, here's our door schedule. We can simply drag that on that we created earlier and place it wherever we want to on the model. Okay. You see at the moment it's clashing a little bit. We can actually start to tweak it a little here and drag the lines so things aren't clashing. Okay, we can move them around. We can customize how that looks on the environment as well, to have it shown however we want it to be. Okay, and when we export, we can just simply do an export, and we can do it out as CAD. So we can create CAD drawings wherever we need to. Okay, you can export the information out into Navisworks if we need to, so NWC file formats, IFC, so obviously if people aren't using the Revit platform and using other applications, you can share it as a native format in the IFC. In here you can do one sheet, all the sheets, all the views. So you'll be able to go in here and you'll see here we could do all the views and export all the views out, or just the sheets. Okay, we can set settings so we can just literally click a button and just select the ones we wanted. We can go in here and justify the layers that we would export out from, because CAD itself has layers. Revit we don't. We place elements in, it automatically puts them on a layer for us, so we can export them out. Now these are default out of the box. So obviously you can customize your layers to suit your requirements. All text, line styles, hatch patterns will all be mapped across. Colors, you can use index and true. We can use polymesh or isosolids in 3D views only. If it puts a 3D view on a sheet, it's flattened. And obviously we can look at the coordination. So if you're doing it feet and inches, millimeters, meters, for example. At the moment I've just put mine as project location, but if we'd actually put it as shared, we can actually position it wherever it's going to sit, wherever it is in the world at this moment in time. And then we can export out into a different CAD formats back to 2000 as an external reference or as bound information. And then it's just simply hit next. So it's going to export it out for you. We can save this using the naming convention here, so it'll do a long name, short name, or we can manufacture the name ourselves by placing it in, and it's just going to simply export. Same with creating drawing sheets as PDF or DDF or whatever format you're going to print them out as or plot them. We can do the same facilities in here as what you can do with CAD. So you can go in here, you can select your printer type. Again, you can do the current window or multiple sheets or in portions of the window, and you can go in the settings and set the default settings accordingly to suit the project that you're working on. Okay, we don't have CTBs or STBs in here, so if you draw something and put color to it, it will print color You don't have to set the line weights because obviously they're set in the background for each element. So for example, you define the thickness of the line weights for each element itself, as in wall, door, window, floor slab, beam, column, etc. Just all inside here. So when you print, it prints out exactly how you wanted it to, rather than having to just change the colors. So I simply can do a PDF here. So again, you can preview it to make sure it's actually fitting correctly, and we can then print it out as a quick PDF or to your plotter or wherever you're going to save it to. So there you go. There's a very, very quick, rough PDF of the model we've just created. So you'll see here there's information. And again, you can put all your technical data within inside there, wherever you need to for that. Okay, so hopefully that's been very useful for you. If there's any questions, I'm now going to just open it up for you so you can actually ask any questions in the questions box. So hopefully it's been of use for you. I have recorded this, so if anyone's got any questions, please feel free now, and obviously they'll be answered as we go through. So there's a couple of questions already in there. Okay, so just bear with me a second, and I'll hopefully, okay. So someone asked about kitchens, block library. Yes, we do have kitchens. Now if I again switch back into Revit, yeah, we've got all that sort of kit inside here. So we can go in, we can place our kitchen equipment in. Now I've not got anything loaded in here right now, so if I went in here we wouldn't have any kitchen equipment, but I can simply load in some information. So we can go in here, we can go for our cabinet basements. There's a lot of bits of kit in here, so for example if I just selected a few things, we can load that data in, and then you'll see the information in here in a second. So I shouldn't have loaded it all in at once. It's going to take a few seconds to load it in because obviously the file size of the elements, there's quite a few of them. It'll take a few moments. But once it's loaded in, yes, I can start placing in kitchen encasements, so I can actually do kitchen modeling if I needed to. So if I go into here, I've got my bits and bobs, so again I can place my kitchen elements in here. So you'll see it's got my different blocks. I can simply place them into my model. Okay, so whichever types that I've placed in, I know I didn't really select anything more suitable, but you can see here we can place them inside here, and then you've got your kitchen elements in there, which then you can start populating, just the same way as furniture. Okay, someone asked a question about details. Good question. I didn't actually show you that. So what you can do, was you noticed when I created things like the section views, okay, we've just created section views. So for example, you may wanted a blown up detail of an area. Yes, that's something very easy to do. So for example, we can take a section view and make it smaller, or we can go in here and look at creating things like call out views. So in here, what we do have, it allows us to do a blown up view. Now this could be done plan, section, and elevation. So it'll call out, we can say we can do a call out here, and that will do as a little blown up view of that, which we can change to this scale and start putting annotation. So this is going to be where you're going to put 2D information over the top, so you can actually do more detailed, because you're not going to model every single last nut or bolt inside the environment, so you can start drawing 2D data over the top. So we can go in here, we can draw lines. So for example, you can draw whatever shapes you want to in here appropriately inside the Revit platform. Okay, you can put in 2D components, which is a block over the top. So for example, we've got a few in here at the moment, so you'll see I've got a purling, so we can go in here and I can place that purling in. What we could do if we wanted to, we could do it as a repeating detail, so we can have it where we can array this. Everything I'm doing is just placing it over the top of the model. It's not actually placing into the model, so this is not changing anything in here. So for example, we've got this this purling here, side rail, and it's allowing me to place at an offset. What it's actually doing, if I just select that and go into its properties, you'll see in here, which actually selecting that 2D detail, it's put in as a maximum spacing, so we could change it to say a fixed distance. And if we said actually this is going to be 600 mil, if we do apply, you'll see it'll automatically set them out at that 600 mil centers that we draw. Okay, so you can draw the 2D detail over the top. You can hatch just like you would do in CAD. So go in here, we can put a hatch pattern over the top. Okay, so you can see that we've got one type. We have got a few already selected in here, so you'll see I can change it to concrete. We can actually create our own as well. And you can drag it. So everything I'm drawing here is hiding the model behind. Okay, we can't hide this behind the model, but it's hiding the model information behind that at the moment. So all that information can be drawn on the top. You can even, for example, you can create what we call drafting view. So in here, if I quickly go over and create what we call drafting view, you can look at drawing 2D details yourself. So if you've already got simple 2D details that you would normally have, you can replicate them in here, what you would have in CAD. So for example, I'm just drawing into here now. You'll be able to see it's populating the information. So it's easy to draw inside here. So I can go back in. We can pick whatever sort of information we want. So you can see here, I'm simply just placing a 2D block inside Revit like so. Okay, so you can populate the information. You can even link in your CAD files. So for example, if you wanted to, you can bring a CAD file in here and draw over the top of it. It's not ideal to bring the CAD file in and explode it, because obviously there could be an issue with the CAD file. Plus as well, everything could be on different types of layers, so sometimes it's better to draw it separate inside here, but it does allow you to do that. Okay, so someone else asked the question, are notes generated as text or as a dynamic form in the model information? So if you go back into the plan here, okay, you'll see, so for example, if I just take this table, I'm just going to drag it over here, so I'll put it in this room on its own. So what you'll see, if I take this information, I'm just going to ungroup this one just to show you. So what you'll see, what I was showing you in here, if I go back to, I'd say here, I'm going to do a tag. So I'm going to tag that. Oops, let's just quickly. Okay, so I've not got a tag. So what I was actually doing, I'm just going to quickly load in a tag for that. So I'm going to say I want a furniture tag. So if I select that, I'm just going to move that tag. So that tag itself is reading this information here. So what you'll see, it's reading the technical information in here. So if I just call that C1, for example, to call it chair. Okay, so that's reading the chair details. If we was to just use text, which we can do, what it's not doing here is if I type in, oops, yeah, okay, let's just leave it like that. Spell. Okay, you'll see it's calling it by the information. But if I was to change that, that tag's not going to update because that's just simple text. Although you can still place the information in, that tag will change if I change this. So I can actually select the tag and call that, for example, chair 2. Okay, and what it'll do, update is information inside that. So it's associating information between those elements, that's what you realistically want, because that information could be built into the family which you want to highlight on the view. So then you can indicate it's chair number 1, chair number 2, chair number 3. You can actually change the tag details and information if required. With that tag at the moment, it's obviously only looking at, if I just select in here, the type mark. Okay, you can get it to highlight anything you wanted within here and put extra information. So, for example, you could highlight the material, so it's going to be, say, a metal chrome leg or a wooden birch chair. Okay, manufacturer's name, so you can highlight all that information. You just need to create a new tag which would read that data, and you could obviously set that up. The best thing about that is if you change anything, it updates across the entire range. So for example, if I'm just going to highlight this information here, and I'm just going to tag it automatically, so it just tags these ones in the view. So if I go in here, I'm going to do the furniture tag, hit apply, you'll see it's tagged them all up. Now, if you weren't happy with the tags to be a box, for example, I can go in here and then change it to just the standard one. And you can change it to however you want it. So I can simply select this. Now that's type chair type A. If I go in here, change that to another type, you'll see there's no chair mark number at the moment for that. So I'm going to go in here and we could call this C1, and it's just going to simply update like so. So you'll see there's the information as it is. Okay, and it will automatically update. So if we put any more of these chairs around, so if I copy that, literally paste, okay, and then we put another tag on, okay, it's going to tag it up automatically. Or what we could do in some cases, for example, when you place in components, okay, now in this instance you'll see it's not placing a tag, but if I go and place things like a door, I can tag on placement at the same time. So what it's going to do is I place the door, can you see it's actually putting the tag in automatically for me. Okay, that doesn't work for every single element here, but it does work for some of them. So for example, again, if we're going for a window, you see I can tag the window, so I can literally click and place, and it's tagging the window with the number. So that's reading, again, here if I select the number it is. So it's that was the 15th, the 16th, the 17th. Now if I delete that one, it doesn't automatically renumber them because it doesn't know that you want to renumber them, so I have to go and select the element itself and renumber it. Okay, it's easy to do. Okay, so another question, you've got generally specification to note the floor build-up and wall build-up, etc. Now, at this moment in time, if I went to actually, for example, let's go to my tag. I want to tag the floor up. Okay, I'm not going to tag, so let's just simply go and get one quickly. So go in here. I'm just going to get a floor tag. Okay, so on the floor tag. The floor is giving me the name, so what you'll see is that's the name of the floor that's in here at the moment. So I've got an in situ floor. Okay, it's not going to give you the makeup exactly. So what I'll show you now in a second is, for example, with the floor itself. Okay, I'm going to its type properties. We have the makeup here. So what you'll see, we've got a concrete sand and cement screed, which is 50mm, a damp-proof membrane, and a structural part to the floor, but doesn't actually define the material yet. So, for example, if I went into here, this is going to be, say, a concrete. Okay, so I'm just search through the materials library. What you'll see in here is all the different types of materials we can choose from. So, for example, say it was a pre-cast slab, we could go in here, set that, and that's actually going to give us the information for that. The tag won't automatically select that. What we'd have to do is highlight different tags to highlight different information within the actual family to tag that. But one thing that we're looking at here at Greytech is to change the way things work and help with that. So we're currently actually developing things that will tag information like that. So where things it won't do at this moment in time, just watch this space. We have, and we're just currently testing at the moment, we have a little app here to help with things like that. So just watch this space. That's something that will become available very, very soon. But that information, although might not be demonstrated directly on the view right now, we could schedule data like that outside in our Revit schedules down here. So, for example, we could say, I want to do a material takeoff, and I want to do it, for example, the floors. And what it allows us to do in here is actually go and select the materials. So we can actually go into here and pick the material information, and then actually list it here. So what it's actually doing is giving us all that information. What you may notice as well, I'm just going to hide some of those columns in a minute, it's giving us things like the area, so it knows what the area of those elements are. So it's actually placing the information. It knows what the volume is going to be and what the area, so we can actually get that information. So at this moment in time, you'll see some of the information is not here. Now, it's not got cost in there, but we've got a feel for that. What we could actually do in that instance is actually put a cost in there, which then will allow us to work out what the total cost is. So there you'll see there's the volume. At the moment it's giving the volume for all those different types of materials, but we could actually schedule that out. At the moment it's not in any sort of order, but I would just have to order that directly. Once I've set up things like the schedules, all that information can be stored in my template, and what it'll do is it just populate as I build my model as I go along, so we don't have to keep building these every single time. It's all done for me. Okay, is anyone else got any questions? Please feel free to send them through as we're going through. Okay, I'll stay on the line for the next couple of minutes, but hopefully that's been very, very useful for all you guys out there. If you've got any further information or if you want to know a bit more, okay, we do have other webinars coming up in the near future, so please log on to our website for that. We do have some launch events for the new software which is coming out in the very near future. So again, please check out our website for more details. And if you want to get any more information, please contact our marketing team. They'll direct you to one of the team who's appropriate with that. Okay, someone's asked a question about the link with MBS. Good question. MBS have created a little link to Revit and their MBS spec writer. I can't tell you in depth how all that works, but what it will do is obviously link your information from your Revit model to the MBS spec writer. I can't give you much detail myself because I don't have a copy of that, but what I will suggest is if you speak to them directly, they'll be able to help you. I can speak with some of my colleagues here who hopefully will be able to tell you a bit more, but if you want to send some of your details through, we can try and help with that. but I would generally go and speak to the MBS. They know a bit more about it. Okay, anybody else got any questions? Okay, if you haven't and you've hopefully enjoyed what you've seen today, please feel free to log on to future events. Obviously, just see the link on our screen here, and you'll be able to log on to our website and see future events. And hopefully see you at one of our launch events for the new releases of 2016, which should be out April time. So again, check our website for the launch events that we're holding throughout the country. Okay, so there may be one near yourselves. Thank you very much, and I'll stay alive for another couple of minutes if anyone's got any questions. If not, thank you and have a good day.